Hi fellow reefers, I'm Eddie of Eddie's Reef Korea. Today's video is the second review on the Purple Stylopora. You might ask, well wait a minute Eddie, when you go to my videos you notice that I did do care tips on the previous Stylopora, Purple Stylopora that I had. But what happened with that Stylopora is my PO4s, in other words my phosphates, were out of control. And when I caught it, it was too late. I had a PO4 of 0.34. That's way up there. So not only did I actually lose the previous purple stylo, I also lost the yellow tang and I lost one or two other corals. So what I did is I went ahead and I purchased another purple stylo, which is the one that I have here, and I placed it more or less on the same area. But now this would be a second review because people that follow me know that every time I acquire new corals, I go ahead, I introduce them to the YouTube channel, Eddie's Reef Korea. I show you the acquisitions that I got, and then in the early near future, then I start to go ahead and talk. I do a little research on all the corals individually, then I go ahead and I talk about each coral. So this research, this review is actually of the second Purple Stylopora, which I placed it more or less in the same place. It didn't have to do with placement or current. It had to do with the PO4s that were up there. But now I have them in control. Now I'm able to control them between the protein skimmer and the feeding regimen, and of course a bi-weekly water change. So let's go into it, take a deep dive and check it out. Okay, so here we are in front of the tank. Like usual, I go ahead and I focus specifically on the coral I'm talking about. Now what I'm doing today different, that I explain everything, I'm very transparent. I went ahead and I turned on the dining room light, which are LED bulbs, because right now after 12 o'clock, the lights start to dissipate until 3. I mean, now it's full white, but from 30% of the full spectrum, it goes down to 27. Then after 3, it starts just royal blues and purples and all that. Until 7, then it starts to cascade down. But I went ahead and I turned on the dining room lights. I'll show you what I mean. This is with the dining room lights. Now watch what happens if I turn them off. As you see, you really cannot appreciate it that much because the lights are starting to ramp down by 3%. So that you guys can all see it better, I'm going to go ahead and I decided to use the LED bulbs on the dining room. Now before I start, on the intro that I mentioned that I did have a previous purple stylo, people that follow me, and if you go to the website, and I'm all over. Matter of fact, when you look for purple stylo under Google or YouTube, I'll pop up. If you notice right in front, you notice that a little spot there. Okay, that's where I had glued with the putty, and the glue, that's where the previous one was. But I went ahead and I glued this one a little further back. Why? Because of the Sinularia. The Sinularia, although in reference to the current, it really doesn't go back that section. I mean, it won't swing towards the right, shall we call it. But just in case, to play it safe, I went ahead and I placed it a little further back from that spot that you see there, right there. That little spot, that's where the previous purple stylo was at. So I thought I mentioned that before I go into the details. So let's go ahead and check it out. Now, this second review, there might be things that I might be repeating from the previous review, and there's new stuff that I went ahead and I added a little more detail. So first of all, Stylopora, Pocillopora, and Ceratopora all are from the same common genus family called Pocilloporidae. That word, I'll put it up on the video when I edit it, which are SPS, of course, known as small polyped stony corals forming a branch-like bushy type structure. So if you look at the Stylopora, you look at the bird's nest corals, and you look at the Stylopora, they all have basically the same configuration. What distinguishes them a little bit from one or the other is, for instance, as you're noticing, the Stylopora, the heads are like round and thick. Now, when you go to, let's say, the Stylopora, the bird's nest, they're skinnier and thin and pointy. The Stylopora is more or less in between these two, but that's basically, out of a nutshell, just by glancing at how you can tell a little difference, but they all belong to the same family. Now, these corals, I've also, I did a little research on them like previously, but I went a little more in depth, and they tend to be fast growers. So if all the conditions are right, the parameters are correct, they tend honestly to be fast growers, and I will attest to that because the previous one that I had a little further forward, as I've been explaining, was, the polyp extension was tremendous. For an SPS, it was phenomenal. And I did notice that there was like a little branch that was coming out. So they are definitely fast growing corals. Now, the next thing I found out, origin/habitat. Okay, the mother colonies are found in the Indo-Pacific regions. That's where they actually come from. Of course, then they're shipped over here and they're fragged, and what you see there is a frag of a frag of another frag of a frag, and we go on from the mother colony. Now, the characteristics of this type of coral. These corals can be found in different colors, like bright green, blue, purple, like this one you're looking at, cream, and also pink. And when it comes to the care level, I would say by research, they're between easy and moderate type of coral to keep. Lighting, well, being on the family of SPS, they do require medium to high lighting. And when it comes to water flow, basically the same thing. You need strong water current, or shall we call it water flow. Placement, excuse me. Being an SPS, but hardy, that you can put it in different areas, I would say middle to upper quadrant of your reef. That would be a safe level. This one I have it, I would say, on the lower section of the upper quadrant, because if you look at it, right on top, I do have an Acropora, and that's way up there, which is also doing phenomenal. And when it comes to feeding this type of coral, I really, don't go out of my way to feed it. But if you would like to feed it, in general, this coral and your whole reef, I would say you can use liquid foods like Phyto Feast from Reef Nutrition, or Oyster Feast, also from Reef Nutrition, and or powdery foods like Reef Roids or Reef Chili. And if you go back to my previous video of what I feed on this reef, this Nubo 40, you'll see that I alternate. One day I'll do Phyto Feast, then I'll do Reef Roids, then Oyster Feast, then I might do again Reef Roids or Reef Chili, and then on and on and on. And then finally, before I close this short video, the water chemistry. Water chemistry, lately, all of you that follow me have noticed that I'm saying within normal limits. Coming from the medical field background, working in hospitals and all that, then they use a lot of within normal limits. So that trade is in my brain. So when I see that it's practically normal, usually I'm saying within normal limits. Now, but what I mean by that basically is that Ca, the calcium, should be between 420 and 440. And then the DKH, the alkalinity, I would say between 8 and 9.5. And the Mg, the magnesium, I would say between 1260 and 1350. So in other words, mag should be between 1260 and 1350. And that basically, to be honest with you, are the basic parameters that you'll find when I say within normal limits. Temperature, I would say between what, 75 or 76 to 79, pH 8.0 to 8.3, and then when it comes to the nutrient values, when it comes, like, let's say to the nitrates, you should have a traceable amount of nitrates. I don't believe on these high type of nitrates, but I'd say within what, 1 to 9 to 10 parts is more than enough. And PO4, being a mixed reef, I would keep it no more than 1 or lower. Right now I'm running 0.08, which is great. It's a great parameter for to keeping your nutrients, because you do have to have a trace amount of them. So that's basically it. Well, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed the video, found it educational and interesting and fun. If you did, hit a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Now, next to the channel button, there's a little bell. That's the notification bell. So if you hit that, you'll activate your notifications and you'll be the first ones to find out when I upload a video, which is usually weekly. So like I say at the end of all of my videos, happy reefing, thank you for watching, and until next time, bye-bye.